When it comes to football or soccer, depending on where you are from, skill is essential. But there's another critical factor that cannot be ignored, whether it is good or bad. Bad luck often translates to a lack of trophies or individual awards. In this context, we are referring to bad luck as injuries, which result in less time on the pitch and, consequently, fewer opportunities to win trophies or individual accolades. However, being fortunate with injuries doesn't necessarily make a player the best, nor does it mean that the unluckiest players are inferior. For instance, if you asked an average football fan to choose between Bruno Fernandes and Neymar Jr., regardless of their positions, I am confident that over 90% would choose Neymar Jr. Luck is one of the reasons why you have had that GOAT debate for all those years, because both of those players are lucky and haven't had too much time off pitch, and also the same reason why Neymar fell so far from the GOAT race, as we will see later. In this video, we will examine several players who have faced significant challenges throughout their careers due to injuries. Some have missed over 2 seasons, while others have suffered more than 4 major injuries per season. We'll start with a player who is especially well known for his battles with injuries. The former Brazilian forward is still arguably one of the best players to ever grace the football pitch. However, many believe he never reached his full potential due to a series of injuries that kept him off the field for much of his career. His struggles began early. During the 1995-96 season with PSV, he suffered a knee injury that sidelined him for almost half the season. Unfortunately, this was just the beginning of a long battle with injuries. The Ballon d'Or winner faced several minor injuries over the years, but the 1999-2000 season was particularly devastating. While playing for Inter Milan in a Serie A game against Lecce, Ronaldo felt a twist in his knee and had to leave the pitch. It was later discovered that he had ruptured a tendon and required surgery. This injury cost him 140 days. And upon his return in the Coppa Italia final against Lazio, he re-injured the same knee just 6 minutes into the game. His physiotherapist described it as the worst football injury he had ever seen, stating, "His kneecap actually exploded." Ronaldo missed the entire 2000-2001 season and much of the 2001-2002 season, sidelined for over 500 days due to surgery and rehabilitation. Despite his talent, these consistent injuries severely hampered his career. He left Inter Milan to join Real Madrid while still injured, causing him to miss the first league matches with his new team. Ronaldo's frequent injuries and absences affected his physical abilities, and with the arrival of Ruud van Nistelrooy in 2006, he fell out of favor with manager Fabio Capello, losing even more playing time. Eventually, he moved to AC Milan, where he suffered yet another heartbreaking injury in 2008, rupturing the kneecap ligament in his left knee and sidelining him for over 250 days. He later joined the Brazilian side Corinthians, but retired after his contract was not renewed at the end of the season. Ronaldo cited pain and hypothyroidism, a condition that caused weight gain, as the main reasons for his retirement. It is sad that a player of Ronaldo's caliber was never able to win the Champions League in his career. Speaking of not winning the Champions League, that's exactly what happened with Paris Saint-Germain and Neymar Jr. PSG acquired Neymar in 2017 for a record fee, hoping he would lead them to a Champions League victory. However, this wasn't possible due to the consistent injuries Neymar suffered. Season after season, he missed crucial stages of the tournament, and many believe that his presence could have improved the club's chances of progressing further. During his time at PSG, Neymar was often sidelined by recurring injuries like fractures in his metatarsal, which happened twice and kept him out for more than 80 days each time. He also dealt with recurring ankle injuries that sidelined him for over 200 days, including surgery. His injury problems continued when he joined Al Hilal while still recovering from an injury, causing him to miss some initial matches. At Al Hilal, he encountered another devastating setback with a cruciate ligament tear while playing for the national team, keeping him off the pitch for over 200 days, including surgery. Neymar left Barcelona in an attempt to step out of Messi's shadow and achieve greatness in Europe. However, his persistent injuries prevented him from reaching his full potential, and the closest he came to individual glory was a third-place finish in the Ballon d'Or race. His departure from Europe without a Ballon d'Or led to him being seen as the prince who never got the chance to become king, and it wouldn't be surprising to hear of his retirement in the near future. Despite his leadership skills, the newly appointed Bayern Munich manager faced numerous challenges during his playing career, often keeping him off the pitch. Throughout his career, he missed over 1,000 days, roughly equivalent to 3 years. Many of his struggles occurred while he was at Manchester City, particularly between the 2015-16 and 2017-18 seasons. During this period, he suffered 4 injuries per season, resulting in over 100 days off the pitch each year. In the 2015-16 season alone, he endured 3 consecutive calf injuries, with one reoccurring just 4 days after his return. The following season, he suffered 2 groin injuries, the second occurring only 7 days after he had come back. By 2015, an analysis revealed that he had experienced 37 injuries since joining Manchester City in 2008, causing him to miss over 2 years within that 8-year span. These injuries significantly impacted his career, as at that time, he had only appeared in a third of Manchester City's games during his tenure. His injury woes continued even in the latter stages of his career when he returned to play in his home country's league. Eventually, he announced his retirement and transitioned to a managerial career, which is now showing more promise than his playing career ever did. Another player on the list is a fan favorite who has spent almost his entire football career with one team. Although his injuries were not major, Marco Reus had multiple minor injuries that collectively kept him off the pitch for significant periods. Over his 11 seasons with Borussia Dortmund, the 35-year-old suffered more than 60 injuries, missing over 200 days in some seasons. Marco Reus excelled in the 2014 FIFA World Cup qualifiers for Germany, but picked up an injury in a warm-up match just before the World Cup. This injury prevented him from participating in the tournament, which was a significant setback since Germany went on to win the World Cup without him. He also missed the 2016 Euros due to a groin injury. His injuries continued to affect his international career. He was not called up for the 2022 FIFA World Cup squad because he hadn't recovered in time from an ankle injury, limiting his contributions to the national team. Paul Pogba was handed a 4-year ban from football after testing positive for doping, but by that point, his career was already on the brink of collapse. On the day the sample was taken, he had spent the entire match on the bench. Since Pogba's return to Juventus from Manchester United in 2022, his time at the Italian club has been rough. He injured the meniscus in his knee during the preseason of the 2022-23 season. A few weeks later, it was discovered that the injury required surgery, ruling him out for more than 140 days and causing him to miss the 2022 FIFA World Cup, where France reached the finals but lost to Argentina. In the 2022-23 season, Pogba suffered a series of injuries, appearing in only 10 games and playing a total of just 161 minutes. In the following season, Pogba was handed a 4-year ban, and by the time it is lifted, he will be in his mid-30s and likely unfit for professional play. And now, we come to the duo that terrorized German football for over a decade, Arjen Robben and Frank Ribéry. During their years at Bayern Munich, both players suffered multiple injuries. Frank Ribéry sustained an injury in the first weeks of his arrival, causing him to miss lifting his first trophy at his new club as Bayern Munich won the Premier Liga Pokal final despite his prominence in the knockout stages. He was also subbed out during extra time of the 2012 Champions League final against Chelsea after sustaining an injury. Bayern eventually lost that match in a penalty shootout. The 2014-15 season was particularly tough for him, as he participated in only half of the season due to ankle problems. Arjen Robben's story was similar. He also suffered a series of injuries that ultimately affected his career, causing him to miss various opportunities both at the club and international levels. The story of injuries will never end as long as matches are being played. The more a player engages in the sport, the more they are exposed to injuries. However, despite their injuries, these players remain some of the best in the game. And let's not forget the most important part of this cycle: